Hi, this is Seamless, and today I'm going to go over a technique to make a Harmor bass, just in the synth, not any kind of resampling or whatever, um, that I use for many things. It's kind of an all-purpose thing. When I say all-purpose, it's because I use it usually when it's involved with something else, so like at the bottom of a chord progression, or as a carrier for FM targeted vocal text modulation. That kind of stuff. Whenever you see those kinds of basses, this is the technique that I use to make this particular one. So here I have a default Harmor. I'm gonna turn it low so I can just use the keyboard to play low notes. All right. So I've talked about bits and pieces of the theory that I use to make this bass, all different parts. But I use them all together in such a way that makes them work in the way that they do. So I'm going to go step by step. So first I'm going to turn on some Unison, a whole bunch of Unison, more Unison than I usually use. And I'm actually also going to keep the phase up there. And it's not because I'm actually planning on having it be this much like pitch difference, because it's kind of a lot. I'll show you why in a second. I'm going to get rid of this. There's some distortion up in here. So that's kind of cool. I can want to be a bit more. So what I'm going to do, so when the Unison is engaged, it creates a lot of movement. And I actually don't want this bass to have a lot of movement, but I do want it to be moved. I want it to be at a place where the frequencies have been moved as a result of the Unison, and then I want it to stay there and not sound like just like I want it to be a constant tone, but not just a bare saw wave. So you saw how when I brought down the Unison real quick, it kept where the movement went. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the articulator, which brings us to the envelope control for Unison pitch thickness, and just make it and kind of mess with it to taste. I'm also going to engage a whole bunch of prism, and I'm also going to do what I've done before, which is to create a custom harmonic prism mapping. So what the prism does is actually pretty straightforward. When you look at this graph, now also look at the visualizer when I move it around. This is the graph and this is the movement. So, and you also see that it made movement down here where I really don't want it to be happening. Movement up here creates a nice kind of squelchy like FM type sound. So I want to use that. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to let it move the lower frequencies, which interfere with the actual note, like the basic note of the frequency, the sound, basic frequency, the fundamental. Don't want to mess with that. Yeah. I'm also going to go into advanced and move prism. Oh, can't do that. Never mind. Anyway. I also don't want this to last a whole long time in terms of its movement, so I'm going to do what I did with the Unison and bring it down. However, I'm going to bring it down to 50 because the prism is actually a 100 to minus 100 knob. Now, this is actually a super basic version of the ones that I've done, and it usually has to be tweaked to meet the specific demands of the track. Like in Sometime and Connector, I had the distorted organ kind of chords going on over the bass, and that's the kind of bass sound that I used. And in Anticoder, I used a bass that was designed like that as one of the main basses. Also, in Connector, the main bass was something like this as well. So you should recognize that kind of movement. And then also in Anticoder and also Connector, and also a little bit of Sometime, the main bass that was this kind of sound is also played higher and modulated a bit. And the leads, the quote-unquote leads that you hear in those tracks are actually just the bass played higher. So it's a very all-purpose kind of sound that you can use. You also saw that I engaged asymmetry down a little bit towards the stereo section. Up is mono, down is stereo. And it gets a bit much if you go too far, but a little bit adds a nice little stereo flare along with the Unison banding. Now you can use the filters that are in here, or you can use one in post, but a cool thing you can do, just like in Massive actually, the way that their filters work is that you can determine if these are being running in parallel or in serial. And right now it's in serial. So right now I just made it so that the first filter has a particular position where there's a resonant scream at one area, but I don't want to modulate that, but I want to modulate this. The second filter, which is in serial and the one that the other one's running through, is just a normal low pass without any resonance. And then, you know, I can make the modulation a bit more obvious if that's the kind of thing you want to do. I believe I did that in some time. This is really just a very quick and dirty kind of thing. But it helps to keep the sound smooth, because now you have the character of a unison movement, but it's not actually moving, so it interferes less with the overall texture of the sound if you have more melodic elements going out above it. It's easier to control. And very minor changes to the pitch, the phase, and also the prism will drastically change the sound and character. Also, I messed with the harmonic unison pitch tab here, which as I mentioned, as I brought up many times, and most things I do with Harmor has a very powerful effect on what the unison movement does. So that should be pretty good for you guys. You should. If you do try to do this with Harmor, note that again, it's very easy to make drastic changes, and that this is a very easy to mix sound, really. It's because it's like I said before, there's not a lot of movement going on. It's just a very basic, hard kind of bass sound. I mean, it's not just a sine wave or whatever, but it's very run of the mill. Let's put it that way. And I use it the workhorse bass, you know, the kind of thing that I put the FM vowel stuff and the Vocodex stuff around, and then when those bass events, the power hitters, aren't happening, this guy's happening to keep everything together, making fills and such. So yeah, that's pretty much that. If you're curious what I'm doing with the making a track from scratch thing, I haven't actually started yet, and it's because I'm working on the master for this band's LP that I recorded. It's a metal band, and I'm almost done with it. I'm actually going through and messing with the kick recording and putting in a whole bunch of hits and moving them around. But if you want to hear what this sounds like, I'll actually put one up in a second just so you can hear it. Here it comes.
As you turn to walk away, you don't realize
and such. That wasn't the final product in any way, but that's what I'm working on right now, and I'm almost done. I have been working on them for months, and it'll be good to have them out of the way because I can focus more on other things. But I do like them a lot. They're called Lord's Anointed. I'll definitely be letting you guys know when their stuff's out, so you can get more of that. If that was at all anything that you guys like, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.